Yeah. Welcome back, guys. This thing is about ready to be started. Last little bit, got that radiator in last week. Got the fuel lines made. I need to do a little bit of bending to make them look just perfect. But I'm almost ready to start this thing up. By the way, the fuel filter in here is on a Weasel. It's also the same one on a World War II Jeep. Let me show you. I did fix a couple switches. Weasel, unlike a lot of vehicles, has a master electrical switch. And this is it. It's very cool, actually. I think they're used in a couple of vehicles. You pull and turn, so it gets pulled and you turn it. That's off, and then you turn it back on, pull it out, and it locks in. So this one was, you see, a little pitted, but I cleaned it up. It's going to look great. Fixing up a couple of other things. This is the throttle controls. These are the screws that go in here. Look nice and pretty. And then of course, what happens? You're painting outside and you drop it in the mud. You get to start again. So I got to fix that one up a little bit. A little frustrating, but we'll get that done shortly. And I showed you last week a little bit, but look at it. I got to do it in person just because it's so beautiful. Look how nice this looks. Really pleased with how this came out. It just looks so good. Other than I did get points off from several people for not taking the data tag off. You can pop them off now. I do have a reproduction data tag. I don't know if I'm going to put it on or not, but it should be clean. I agree. I should have taped it off. Bad me. Sweet. Forming fuel lines or brake lines does require some specialized tooling. You need some kind of a tubing cutter. You see me using that there. You take a little quarter turn and keep rolling it around. It's just got a little like a pizza cutting wheel on it, and it cuts right through there. Does a beautiful job. And then you need obviously the fittings I just slid on, and then a flaring tool. How many times have you guys seen somebody's old toolbox and you go in there and everybody seems to have had a flaring tool at some point in their life, but the other part of it is usually missing. You can see the flaring tool itself has grooves on the inside of the tube, and they're all pre-made to a certain size. Crank them down, and then you lock on the actual flaring die itself, and it just turns on there. Run it down, instant flare, really nice. But it's the other thing that's worth getting is the tubing bender. You see me using that, and they're pretty sophisticated. They make more sophisticated ones than the one that I have, but you do need a pre-plan because there are limitations. Number one, once you've put a bend in the tubing, generally speaking, you can't put the fitting on or get it to go past the turn. So you need to be able to come from the other side and make your flare at the end. So you need to plan for that a little bit. And you need to make sure you leave enough room to actually use the flaring tool as well. I don't know that I have the best method for doing this. I do a little bit of trial and error, and sometimes it comes out better than others. And like in this case, I'm having to bend the tube. Spoiler alert! I might not have even gotten this one right, but just watch. More Weasel esoterica. So this is the cow flap, as I would call it. It's not really called that, but this actually fits in the front, and I will show you in a second. And the mechanism is pretty clever. This fits around this right here and slides through, and that bolt goes there. And then this piece goes in between here. And as you rotate it, it rotates this thing up. So let's go look at this. and it goes in like so, and it fits tightly and goes up against these hinges right here and will swing up when you close it. And again, the whole idea is to block off, completely block off. I think I'm going to have to move my lines. I'm glad I just did that, guys. Let me show you. Made a little error on my fuel lines right there. I bent them all up and got them pretty much where I wanted them to be, but I think that they are going to interfere with the cowl flap. Look at this. Something new and different, of course. So this goes underneath there, and this isn't going to swing up there. So I've got to get those closer and out of the way. This is pretty tight, right? I mean, that means you're going to block off all the air for the Weasel, and you wouldn't do that unless it was really cold outside. But if it's really cold outside, that's what you'd want to do, because you want the vehicle to warm up. You want the engine to be in the green in the operating temperatures. So you block off the airflow, and everything warms up so that the guys inside are nice and cozy and the engine nice and operating temperature. So that's that. If you've ever gone into an auto parts store and got confused when you started looking at this whole wall of different oils and trying to figure out what it all means, welcome to the club. It's confusing, and it's confusing for a lot of reasons. One of them is there's lots of marketing hype out there, and so you don't know what to believe there. It's also confusing if we're playing with old vehicles, because old vehicles have different requirements and needs than new vehicles. They were designed in 1943, in the case of a Jeep or a Weasel, to function with current state-of-the-art technology in 1943. Doesn't look the same. Chemistry's changed. We've learned a lot. We've banned substances like lead, which changes the composition of gasoline, which changes the needs of our oils and other lubricants. So it's kind of a minefield out there. And my first recommendation is, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, but there is a website called Bob's the Oil Guy. Go hang out at Bob's the Oil Guy and start reading. There's a bunch of stickies at the top of those main forums that talk about choosing motor oils and synthetics versus old and old cars. There's some really good information in there. And also, a little bit reluctantly, I would say, talk to your favorite AI agent. It's pretty good at this point. I'm a Grok fan, which is the X product, and it's pretty darn good. It's searching the whole web and kind of collecting all that knowledge. So Bob's the Oil Guy shows up as one of its references in there, and it gets the answer right most of the time. So once we get to this point, we got to figure out what we need. You know, you see me putting all these fluids in the Weasel. How am I choosing what to put into what and why? I start with TM9772, which is basic operator manual for the Weasel, and you open this thing up, and right inside of there is something that every World War II vehicle that was used by the Army has, which is called a lubrication order. And they look something like that, and of course they were printed separately as well, and you should have it in the vehicle and you should use it. But it lists the capacities and recommended fluids depending on temperature for every part. The vehicle that needs to be lubricated, that includes light machine oil and greases and everything else. The one challenge is you're going to see some references to things that are not compatible today. We have to do a little bit of research, and you kind of have to start figuring out what's the equivalent, because some of those things you go and ask your local auto parts store and the guy goes, huh? Definitely stay tuned. We'll have this motor oil and oil conversation here probably in the next month or two. I think there's a lot to learn here, a lot to think about as you navigate these waters, and particularly as some of these old technologies get phased out and we have to come up with reasonable substitutes and sort of strategies to preserve these vehicles for the future. You know, it's been a rough winter when your World War II Jeep is serving as yet another flat surface to store stuff on. It's getting clean soon. It's finally getting warm here, although it was 32 this morning. Murph's going to get out of the shop shortly and get a big bath. There's a couple things I got to do to it, including a big project that I'll tell you more about in a week or so. But preventative maintenance coming up on Grayman. Get that other Weasel running hopefully tomorrow or the next day so that that can move on to its proper owner. Got a bunch of Weasel carburetors to work on, and I've got to get the T15 running. We've got a show in 2 weeks, so hopefully if you're anywhere in the Northeast, you're going to show up at the Sussex County show. The weather is looking kind of positive. Hopefully you guys can make it out and come say hi. We're going to run a little bit of a motor pool there for part of the show. We're going to take a starter apart for sure. We may put a Jeep carburetor back together again. I don't know. I've got somebody's got an M37 that hasn't run in a long time, and he's threatening to bring that and park it in the shop and get us to get it running again. So if you're around and you want to come out, you know, wear some work clothes and we'll put you to work. With that, I'm going to say, keep those corners square, guys. As always, I sincerely appreciate you being here, and hopefully you're starting to see some of the changes. They continue to upgrade our platform for doing this, and I am really working hard to make things easier to find, and we're going to keep trying to improve the content, more how-tos and all of that. It's just a question of using that technology in a way that makes it easier for you guys to find it, because there's a tremendous amount of information in all these old episodes. It's just not always easy to figure out where they are. Again, we have office hours on Friday, so tomorrow's Friday. If you've got questions, you're running into problems. We fixed a couple of voltage regulators last Friday and also fixed a starter problem for somebody. So by all means, call in or send an email and we'll try to help you. And the other thing is, if you're missing something, somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I need to fix the frame on a Jeep, where do I find it? And I sent him some links for that. So I know where most of the bodies are buried, and I don't mind doing the work at this point. It's part of trying to get this catalog built out correctly. So we'll keep doing that. So again, thanks again. Have a happy day, and hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.